There's an assumption that if you're not hurting, you're not growing. We treat physical discomfort like a mandatory entrance exam for mental discipline. So when a sudden, sharp ache hits mid-practice, you are immediately forced into a guessing game. You have to decide in real time whether pushing through that sensation will lead to a breakthrough or leave you with a permanent limp. The problem with the no pain, no gain mindset is that it blurs the line between two very different biological events. It trains you to take the exact same approach to temporary muscle fatigue as you do to severe mechanical injury. What actually dictates your ability to hold advanced postures isn't your mental toughness, it is your structural readiness. Your body has baseline physical limits existing independent of your willpower. When you try to use grit to override those structural limits, you don't build discipline. You just inflict irreversible damage on joints that heal incredibly slowly, defeating the entire purpose of the practice. If you apply that brute force mindset to seated practices, two specific areas are going to take the brunt of the damage: your knees and your ankles. These joints are not built like your quadriceps or your calves. They lack the robust blood supply and fast recovery capabilities of standard muscle tissue. Once you damage them, they take a painfully long time to heal. You might think you are stretching a tight muscle, but what is actually happening is that you are crushing your own cartilage by forcing a pose your architecture cannot support. Biological architecture always wins. Anytime you try to turn a structural limitation into a test of mental endurance, your joints are going to lose. To protect joints, separate adaptive sensations on the green safe zone pathway from destructive pain on the red flag pathway. The green pathway brings thigh soreness, foot numbness, and hip pressure. This indicates your system is working. Circulation adjusts, flow shifts, and detox engages. The trade-off here is straightforward. To get those positive physiological adaptations, you have to sit through some very heavy acute discomfort. Navigating that safe zone is a severe test of your mental endurance, but you can sit with confidence knowing it carries zero risk of actually tearing or breaking anything in your body. Red flag pain is unmistakable. It doesn't ache, it pierces. It's a sharp, localized sensation inside the knee joint or a deep stabbing in the ankle. This means alignment is failing. Incorrect posture severely stresses ligaments and heavily compresses the joint space. If you choose to ignore that signal and sit through the piercing sensation, you are actively degrading the cartilage that buffers your bones. You are trading decades of long-term mechanical health just to achieve the temporary aesthetic look of a difficult pose. Sharp, joint-specific pain represents an ongoing state of mechanical injury. It lacks any connection to progress or willpower. To understand why this joint damage happens in the first place, we have to look at the physical limitations of the body before you even sit down on the mat. Practitioners generally face three limiting factors: general bodily stiffness, carrying excess weight, or hips lacking baseline flexibility. Watch the kinetic chain. When stiff hips fail to rotate, forcing a crossed posture creates an intensely uneven load distribution. Kinetic energy drives straight down into the knee. To compensate, tendons overstretch, leaving the vulnerable knee to bear the entire downward force. This chain reaction has absolutely nothing to do with your level of discipline. It is a pure mechanical structural failure. Because those tight hips redirect the physical force away from the target muscles and straight into destroying the knee joint, trying to muscle your way into the pose is the most destructive strategy you could possibly choose. This gives us the absolute core rule of postural practice. Willpower is an excellent tool for managing mental restlessness and muscle fatigue. It must never interact with joint pain. We can map exactly how you should proceed using this matrix. If you are stiff or new to the practice, you belong here. Modify the posture immediately using cushions or blocks to support your current range of motion. Success in this phase depends on structural patience, prioritizing joint health over the pursuit of aesthetic perfection. Now, if you are an advanced practitioner with open hips and you still encounter sharp pain, you stop and immediately audit your load distribution. True, lasting progress comes from respecting and accommodating the physical limits of your body, rather than treating them like an enemy you have to conquer. Pain functions as critical, objective data, a direct communication from your physical system, rather than an obstacle to be defeated. Responding to these signals requires a shift in how you approach every movement and every hold. You stop asking, "How much can I endure?" and start asking, "How do I work intelligently?" Mastering the clear distinction between safe adaptation and dangerous mechanical injury is the absolute prerequisite. Without it, you cannot build a lifelong, sustainable practice without destroying the very biological system you are trying to improve.